Hi, Sweet Pea.
Hi, Mummy Bear.
We've got another chit-chat
We have, this is episode 56.
with the fantastic Harriet Rycroft. Now, Harriet was on Gardener's World back in 2023, episode 6, and
Yes.
she called herself the Crazy Pot Lady. And what
Yes.
we gather
She soon
from
regretted.
this episode is that she rather regretted that because Gardener's World
Yes.
latched onto it.
Just
That
like, this is perfect.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there we are mentioning it again. So apologies, Harriet.
Sorry.
But we had an absolutely wonderful chat with her. We learnt all about pots and how to maintain pots. And
having them on such a huge scale as well.
having them on a massive scale. She mentioned at one point she's got 700 odd pots in her garden.
We almost had a heart attack.
But we also cover a lot of other really interesting things. Harriet's so interesting, so funny as well. We had to cut out quite a bit of giggling because that just made it too long. But very interesting to hear Harriet's background, a bit about her upbringing and how she forged a career within horticulture and balancing that with family life, of course, as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And most importantly, we find out about Harriet's dream garden, and there's some pretty interesting
full of
elements of this. Yeah, lots of surprises.
It's brilliant. We've got some great inventions in this.
Yes.
So keep
but we established we
yeah.
will require Dermot Gavin to be involved.
Yes.
So if anyone could give him a quick bell, get that organised, it would be great.
If anyone has his contact, tell us.
So Harriet mentions quite a few places that she's worked and also some other recommendations from her. So we've put those on the website. If you go to notjustagarden.co.uk and go to the gardens page, you will find all of her recommendations there, along with all our other guests' recommendations. And one of those links is Harriet's blog, A Parrot's Nest, and we find out a bit why that is called A Parrot's Nest.
Exactly. Good little backstory.
And although she hasn't written a blog for quite some time, there are a huge number of other blogs on there, and they're really lovely reads and some great photos as well. We established that Harriet's pretty handy with a camera, and she's got a really nice camera that she doesn't know how to use, but she has it on automatic, and it seems to do the job. So it's working well. And then you'll find Harriet herself and her happy face on the Rogues Gallery on the Chit-Chats page. So, Sweet Pea, tell us the format.
So, the format for Harriet's Dream Garden is garden boundary, shed or greenhouse, 5 ornamentals, 5 edibles, 1 statement tree, pond or pool plus 1 plant, and then finally her favourite seating area, drink to have, and a plant for that area as well.
That's it, and we hear lots of interesting stuff. We also have a few noises on this recording. It seems to be, I think, mostly Harriet's end because she had a microphone that was rubbing against her jumper. And so we hear quite a bit of that. Oh, and a faint sort of fuzzy noise throughout. But if you can listen past that, then you're in for a treat.
Exactly.
If you do want to get in contact with us about anything we discussed on this episode, please do. We have a contacts page on our website, notjustagarden.co.uk. And also you can email us at notjustagarden@outlook.com. So shall we have a listen to this episode, Sweet Pea?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
This is episode 56, A Good Ol Chit-Chat with Harriet Rycroft.
Off we go.
Welcome, Harriet, to A Good Ol Chit-Chat.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here, finally.
Yes. It's been a couple of years since you were on Gardener's World. You were back in 2023, weren't you? Episode 6.
Yeah.
And I think it was self-titled Crazy Pot Lady.
Yeah. As I said it, I saw their eyes light up.
We're keeping that in.
And I thought, I'm going to regret that.
You are.
We'll edit that out.
It was definitely a big mistake.
But you have this magnificent garden of pots. I seem to recall it was because you can't see your garden from the house. So you kind of bring the garden to the house in the form of pots. Yes. Where is your garden?
Yeah.
Well, it's in the North Cotswolds in a town, so it's not a huge garden, and we can't see the garden from the house because there's this big yard and a garage, and we have to park the car there because there's not enough parking on the street.
Okay.
So we can't kind of dig up the yard and turn that into garden as well. Besides, it'd be far too expensive. And I just happen to have a lot of pots because I used to work at a pottery.
So the garden is behind the garage and the yard. So it's kind of the other side.
So, I mean, when you look out from the house, you see the yard, and then there's an enormous yew tree, which is
Nice.
about 175 years old.
Oh,
And it's
fantastic.
multi-stemmed, so it's absolutely massive.
Oh,
Yeah, I can
And
imagine.
then beyond that, we do have a garden, but can't
that's
sit
where
in
the garden
house.
lies. I
No.
see. And you happen to have a lot of pots because you worked at a pottery.
Mhm.
Does that mean you got all the seconds?
Yeah, they used to let us have pots that were too bad to sell as seconds.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Oh,
So,
when they're
okay,
really not
yeah.
that bad at all.
yeah, underfired and cracked. But it's
Oh,
easy
okay.
to hide the cracks.
Yes.
So,
You just
Yeah.
turn them away. Which pottery is that?
Yeah.
Witchford Pottery in Warwickshire.
Witchford Pottery. So were you doing the garden for them?
Yeah, I was there for nearly 14 years.
Yeah. The head gardener.
Yes, and it's a small courtyard garden and a big stockyard, and I used to do displays of pots there
Yeah.
all year round because it was open all year round.
Right.
And it was my first professional gardening job. I was still studying horticulture when I got the job.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I'm a career change gardener. So
Well, so I'm jumping
Yeah.
about a bit. My mind likes to work in chronological order. So, Sweet Pea, remind me to come back to getting pots from the pottery.
Getting pots,
So we'll come back up
yes.
to this point. But your background was in interior design, is that right?
well, I mean, that was just the first job I got out of university.
What did you
I
do
had
at university?
absolutely no idea what I wanted to do when I left university. So, that was just
Having
the first
studied
job I
what?
got. Classics and French.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, very different.
Yeah.
So I can spell the Latin names, basically.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that is good.
So you did a degree in classics and French, and then your first job was interior design.
Yeah, I was an interior designer's assistant. So I was doing
Right.
things like ordering the fabric and working out how much fabric you'd need for a certain set of curtains and helping customers to choose their wallpaper and things like that.
I see.
And organising the showroom.
Yeah.
And it was a very good job because it was a small company, and in small companies you need to do a bit of everything.
Yeah. Get
Yes.
stuck in.
Yeah.
And so how did you transition from that into the world of gardening?
Well, it took a while, and then I moved up to London with my husband. And,
That was from Somerset.
Yeah, and worked for an interior design supply company. So I was exporting fabrics and wallpapers all over
Right.
the world.
Okay.
Wow.
And then we had babies.
Yeah.
So I had 2 children.
Yep.
And after having them and, a couple of other jobs, I realised that I just didn't want to work in an office ever again.
Yeah.
And I wanted to work
understandable.
outside, but especially not working in an office. Because when you have children, you become less tolerant of childish behaviour in adults.
Yes, I hear you, Harriet.
And in offices,
There's a lot of that going on.
there's a lot of that going on.
All the politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Hierarchy.
realised I'd be even less tolerant of that.
Yeah. And also the nature of being stuck indoors 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Your upbringing, from looking on your lovely website, you've got a lot of blogs, although it doesn't look like you've blogged so
I haven't blogged for a long time. No.
Yeah. But you talk on your website about your upbringing and how your mum had sort of played quite a big influence on your love of outdoors, and you were always up to mischief outside, it seemed.
Yeah, I was mostly outside, especially as I was by myself a lot.
Yeah.
So, making my own entertainment in darkest Somerset.
Yeah. So you go from that and then being in an office job, it just doesn't really work, does it?
No.
So how did you go from working in an office? Is that when you then studied horticulture?
Yeah, because I was, still, I had a baby.
Yes.
So I was, I was doing odds and ends of work, but I wanted to go back to something more regular. And I had a conversation with my husband, which roughly went, "What can I do?" And he said, "Well, what do you like doing?" And the answer was obvious, because I spent all of my spare time gardening. We had a tiny garden flat,
Right,
a ground
yeah.
floor flat in London.
Yeah.
So it was pretty obvious. And then we moved to Oxfordshire, and I went to Pershore and did what was it called? It was called the RHS General, and then I did the RHS Advanced, which now has been subsumed into the RHS Diploma.
Was that a 3-year course?
Well, I spent 2 or 3 years studying, but, very part-time because,
You had kids?
had kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so while I was doing that, I got a job one day a week at Wychford pottery, and then that
Yeah.
turned into 2 days, and then it turned into 3 days, and then it was good because it was flexible while I had children.
Great.
So I never needed to miss a school play or a sports thing or a
Oh,
trip.
perfect.
I could change my days around a bit.
Yeah.
But I'd work, anything between 3 and 7 days, really. There.
How fantastic to have that flexibility.
Yeah.
It was good. It was
'Cause
bonkers, but it was good.
In what way was it bonkers?
Well, it's quite an alternative place. Have you ever been to Wychford Pottery?
No.
It's quite eccentric. It's fantastic, but
Okay.
eccentric.
You're right.
Well, we need to go there then.
Yeah, we need to go there. But you could presumably escape because you'd be out in the garden
Yeah.
tending to pots. You could dip in
But
and
it was
out of the
also
madness.
lonely because I was the only gardener.
Ah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, after 14 years, when the children had grown up, I thought I might go and work with some other gardeners.
So
Yeah,
where
it
did
would
that
be
take
nice.
you to? Is that when you went to Cotswold Wildlife Park?
Yeah, that's when I looked around at local gardens and thought, where would I like to work?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wrote on spec to the Cotswold Wildlife Park.
Mm-hmm.
I still didn't want to work full time, so it was only part time.
Yeah.
So I went
Yeah.
to work for them 2 or 3 days a week.
Well, we know a bit about Cotswold Wildlife Park. That's based in Burford, near to the Burford Garden Centre, which we've talked about on our Chit-Chats previously.
Yeah.
But Sweet Pea was previously interested in veterinary science, and so she did some work experience, it was work experience, wasn't it, for 2
Yeah.
weeks at the park a few summers ago.
Yes, I did.
And she was working with they had just had baby rhinos.
Oh, they're constantly having baby rhinos. They're very successful with their rhhinos.
Well, that's
They are.
good news. I
Baby
didn't know
rhinos are
that.
fantastic.
They
They
are.
squeak.
Oh my god.
They're the sweetest things.
And when you tickle them, they're just
And the other thing is the rhinos smell nice because they smell like horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I
do
like the smell of
actually.
rhinos.
But they're like dogs. They enjoy a good tickle, don't they,
They
Sweet Pea?
Yeah.
love tickles. Their favourite thing. It's not kind of getting treats, it's getting tickles. That's their reward that they love. It's so adorable.
They
So
like a mud
adorable.
bath too.
Yeah.
Yes.
But each day when I was picking Sweet Pea up, dropping her off, I would see the gardens there, which really are beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially the
amazing.
time of year we were there. It was in the summer.
It was
they
it was
were-
peak time.
Yeah, they were looking magnificent. So how long were you there for?
6 years altogether. And
Right.
I wrote a book about it,
Well, you wrote a book about working
about the
at
gardens.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. What's that called?
With Tim
Yeah.
Miles, who was the head gardener at the time. It's called The Cotswold Wildlife Park, a celebration of the gardens.
Oh, right.
It's mostly sold at the park and in a couple of local bookshops. But it's got lots of my photographs in it and a few by other people as well.
Well, and about your photos, do you have any sort of photography background? Because your photos
Yeah.
are really, really beautiful.
No, I mean, I've got quite a nice camera, which
Right.
I don't know how to use.
I don't think that's true.
So it's just on automatic all the time.
Right.
Well, it
So
seems to be doing a good
automatically
job.
gets it right. Yeah.
And I take a lot of photographs, so it's a scattergun thing.
Yeah.
I'll be taking 20 photographs, and then one of them's kind of okay.
That's the beauty of digital.
And those are the ones I let people see.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not the one which is all blurry and slightly tilted. And
Yeah.
Scattergun approach. I like
But it
that.
was fun, I used to take pictures of the gardens and what we were doing at the wildlife
Yeah.
park. And in my breaks, I would go and take pictures of the animals, and maybe after work as well.
So that was working more with a team.
yeah.
Oh, a much, much bigger team. I think there were,
I remember there
there must have been
loads.
about 12 or 15 people in the gardens
Right.
department, including grounds.
And was that
But it's a
preferable?
big site. It's something like 120 acres, I think.
That's
so it's
what
enormous.
you used to say,
There's-
Sweet Pea, was how far you walked every day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we'd walk constantly around the gardens. And what was funny was because I've been into horticulture for a long time, and so when I was doing it, I didn't think there were going to be gardens there. I was just going for the animals and stuff. And then walking around, I was like, "Gosh, this is really gorgeous."
Yeah, and there's some of everything. You see, there's
Yeah.
there's a little bit of Victorian bedding. There's
Yeah.
experimental bedding out of exotic stuff. There's quite a lot of theatrical stuff where you're using pots. The plants are still in their pots, but you're arranging it so that they look like they're growing,
Yeah.
especially in
Yeah.
the summer. And there's a bit of prairie planting. There's a fantastic collection of trees, amazing trees,
Yeah, gorgeous.
all sorts. Absolutely, all sorts. English herbaceous planting, a bit of modern herbaceous, all that kind of stuff. It's great.
Yeah, right by the house, the big house, there's some really gorgeous, proper kind of cottage gardeny mixed with herbaceous. I love that.
It's very nicely laid out there.
They do a lot of conservation work. So they raise money and awareness for conservation. They have lots of links, direct links with, conservation organisations in Madagascar and Africa and all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Because I'm not generally a fan of animals in captivity, but people need to learn about animals and they need to fall in love with them. When I went there, I wasn't particularly interested in birds, but they've got an amazing bird collection. And the birds ended up being my favourites.
Well, it's interesting you say that about birds because you call your website or your blog Parrot's Nest?
A parrot's nest, yeah.
A parrot's nest. And then there's this story about how you recall shouting up to a parrot in a tree. What was that about?
Well, that's one of my earliest memories. Where I was born was in a flat in a house in a village called Milverton in Somerset. And there were tall trees all around the garden. And my mother remained friends with the people who owned the house. And that's one of my earliest memories. I probably must have been about 2 years old. And I remember going to the garden and they told me to shout, "Hello, Robert." So you stand in the garden, you look up and you shout, "Hello, Robert." And then there's a little voice from way up in the trees going, "Hello, Robert." And it was a blue and gold macaw called Robert.
a pet parrot, presumably. Yeah. Right. Who lived in the trees.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was allowed out in the daytime, and then he would come in and rip the furniture to shreds,
Oh, my goodness. Oh, God. Not ideal. Oh, how funny.
They're not good pets.
As an earliest memory. And then you would walk around with a hunched shoulder because you had an imaginary parrot on it.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 brothers and a sister, but they're all much older than me. When they're there, I like to say much older than me.
Yeah, of course. Quite right.
So I was by myself a lot as a child.
Yeah.
So I did have imaginary friends, and one of them was a parrot.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And my mother can remember seeing me walking around with, one shoulder up. Because I was carrying the parrot and talking to it.
But then you befriended a chicken, and your chicken became your parrot.
We always had chickens. I had one that was mine, but we had some other ones which were Indian game hens, I think. And they were black and rather fierce.
Oh.
But intelligent. And one of them in particular I tamed, and I would go around, and it was quite a big chicken, and I would walk around with this hen on my arm.
I love that. Wow. It's like, I am an eagle.
Yes. I think she was channeling her inner condor, she looks quite regal.
She's just a chicken.
Sweet. Was that Panorama?
No, that was my imaginary parrot.
Okay.
Panorama. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what the chicken was called, if she did have a name.
You were at Cotswold Wildlife Park. Was your whole pot situation at home happening in parallel?
Yeah, no, that was in parallel. And it got worse because I buy pots from other people,
right?
as well as adding. I've got a lot of Witchford pots, but I have bought pots from other people, and I've got glazed pots, and I've got plastic pots, and I've got dustbins with holes drilled in the bottom, and biscuit tins, and removals crates, you name it.
Fantastic. I seem to recall on the programme you said that your husband just learnt not to comment anymore about your pot addiction.
No, he gave up quite quickly.
So at home, one of the things I remember, one of your tips was you always cluster your pots, and you'll have kind of a framework of like an evergreen, and then your bulb pots around that. When you started setting up your pots at home, did you know exactly how you were going to set it all up, or was it trial and error? You would sort of put pots
it's always trial and error. I think it's trial and error forever, really, because there's no, with all kinds of gardening, there's no one correct way of doing it.
No.
And sometimes you go and go to a talk, or you go and see somebody else's garden and you see a different way of doing it, and you think, why don't I do it that way? Or I could do that, and pinch somebody's idea. And also your palette of plants gradually changes over time, and the ones you keep from year to year get bigger. So
Yep.
you have to use them in different places, or something will happen like, if you have a tree chopped down, then you've got more light than you used to have, so you've got to change things around a bit,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. So it changes
see.
all the time. Gardens are never still, even
Yeah.
gardens in pots, even less gardens in pots, because you do have to move them around a bit.
Yeah.
But I do the grouping thing partly because that was how I learnt to do it at Witchford, to make nice displays with groups, so you get more impact than scattering them about.
Yeah.
But I also saw that, especially in the summer, they don't dry out so quickly if you keep them in a group.
Yeah, because of the microclimate.
Yeah, so that's what you said on the programme, was watering every couple of days. And if you were having to water every day, you haven't got the right pots in the right places. We have struggled with pots. We are
Always.
south facing and on a hill, so it really gets scorched where we are. And we're almost at the point of giving up with pots because the watering wasn't sustainable.
No.
So what's your recommendation? So you group them. Do you have a recommendation in terms of size of pots? By the sounds of it, no, because you've got biscuit tins upwards to dustbins.
All sorts
your
of things.
pots.
But if you've got an exposed site, you really need to go for the biggest containers you possibly can,
Yeah.
because they dry out so much less quickly than tiny pots
Yeah.
are really hard to keep alive, especially if
Yeah.
if you go away for a bit. You can't expect your neighbours to keep tiny pots going.
No, of course not.
And I do not water every day, even in very, very hot weather, because I reckon if you have to water every day, you've got the wrong plant in the wrong place and probably in the wrong pot. It's not in a big enough pot, because it needs that volume of pot as a reservoir of water to draw up when it needs it.
Of course, yeah.
How often are you watering then? It's every couple of days?
At the most. So when it's really hot and windy, I will water every other day at the most. And I'm aiming not to water more than a couple of times a week, really. Because, I mean, I've got so many pots out there that, in the summer, it takes me 2.5 hours to water them with a hose, let alone when there's a hose pipe ban. That takes me practically all day.
Oh, my word, Harriet. 2.5 hours with a hose.
I don't have that time.
But then you see, that's also your inspection time. While you're watering, you're looking at them and thinking, that one's not doing so well, or there must be a snail in that one because it's got big bites out of it.
Yeah.
So it's your thinking time.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful not to move on too quickly. So when I'm watering, I count, because it's the only thing that stops me from moving on too quickly. And just because, most people know that you've really got to water thoroughly, let the water sink in, give them lots of water, and then leave it for a bit. If you give a little sprinkle on the top, all the roots of the plants are mostly going to gather near the surface, and it's not going to use the whole volume of the pot.
No. Okay. So when you've got your hose, do you have a rose on the end or a sort of spray gun, or it's just the hose?
Just the hose, and I just have my thumb over the end to sort of direct the jet. But I don't have it running fast. I have it coming at about the same speed as it would out of a watering can. And then I water at that speed at several, in a big pot, I'll water at several different points, because you can't expect it to move through it like a sponge.
Yeah.
I think quite often people will tip water into the front of a pot and expect the plants at the back to be okay, whereas they're going to be staying much drier and won't be so happy.
What are you counting up to for each pot?
Well, a big pot, probably 60 or 70.
Oh, right.
It would take probably 60 or 70 to empty a watering can. So if I've got it running at about the same speed out of the hose, I know I'm delivering about a couple of gallons of water.
And you talk about you can't expect it to soak up like a sponge. Do you have anything else in your compost, any sort of water retaining jiggery pokery in there? So it's just peat-free compost. I think you said you put fertilizer in there as well.
I put a bit of slow release fertilizer in, just because I use peat-free multi-purpose compost with a bit of they say with added Johniness, but really it's just got a bit of loam in it.
Yeah,
and that holds on to the water a bit better, and the nutrients, really. It seems to me. But generally, peat-free composts, to me, they seem hungrier than the old peat-based composts.
Yeah.
So I do, as standard, add a bit of slow-release fertilizer.
And what do you do when you go away on holiday? Do you have a really nice neighbour?
Fortunately, I have a very nice neighbour.
Oh, good. That's always nice.
That's helpful. And is an irrigation system isn't an option then?
Well, it would be difficult to set one up in this yard, because
how would you do that?
We have to be able to drive the car through, so I can't have pipes trailing across the yard.
I see.
Irrigation
Yeah.
pipes permanently, and we don't have taps on the garage side. So I do in the summer, because I've got this big bank of pots just by the back door, and it's quite difficult to reach the back of that consistently. So I have got one row of, the little dripper pipe.
Yeah.
Right.
So I plug the back row in so
Yeah.
that I know they're not going to go completely dry, and I turn the tap on just while I'm doing the watering of the other things.
And do you have any trays under any of the pots, or they're all
No.
just free draining out? And you don't use like that? You can get these felt things that you can put under pots.
yeah.
that sort of
No, I mean, I've
holds-
got 700 pots in the yard.
Okay, point taken.
Yeah.
Point taken.
Very, very good
Some
point.
of them are very big, and they're hard to move.
Yeah. Okay.
And also in our climate, if you've got dishes and trays and things under your pots, and it rains for 2 weeks, well, your plants will die.
They're all waterlogged.
Because once the roots start to rot, it's really hard to stop them rotting. You can't take them out and dry them with a hairdryer.
No. I've tried that.
Have you tried that?
I tried that with one of our indoor pots, a peace lily, and it was flopping. I think it had overwatered, so I took it out
and then
I
you
was
dried it,
drying it with a hairdryer on a low
I'm so
heat.
glad to find someone who's actually tried that.
Because I thought, well, I can reverse this problem. It didn't reverse the problem.
could
Although
reverse it.
I sort of
Oh my
cut
God.
off a load of the roots and stuck a tiny bit of stem into a pot. It was very little. It became from a massive peace lily to just a very tiny little stump. But it started growing leaves again, so survived to tell the tale.
Quite often you can salvage bits of beloved plants, and if you can see something's dying, but it's still got live bits on the top, then take cuttings.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. On the pot front, you have written a book called Pots.
Yes.
Do you have any plans for any more books?
Yeah, well, swilling around in my head, yes.
Really?
Although I've got terrible imposter syndrome, so I'm really bad at pitching and asking someone to publish me.
Yeah. How did you go about
I'm
publishing
terrified
the
of
last
that.
one?
I was asked to write it. It's
perfect.
part of a series, and they wanted a book about growing stuff in pots, and I'd been pregnant with this one for a long time.
Yeah.
So it didn't take much time to write, really. I had to fit it into a certain format because it was part of a series.
Right,
But
I see.
I squashed as much information as I possibly could in, and I didn't want to write a book that was just a series of recipes. I wanted to talk about the practicalities of gardening in pots.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people start with gardening in pots because it looks easier. And it's quite a good way to start because you're not overfaced by a huge garden. You've just got some containers. But when things go wrong, they go wrong really quickly. And if you're a learner, you don't necessarily know why. Then it happens again. Then you become discouraged,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds like our pot arc, doesn't it, Soupy? Exactly. You've just,
It's really the way, what I wanted to concentrate on was giving people the tools so that they could work out what went wrong and not do that next time. Do something that works next time. But I don't want to stop people experimenting because there are so many ways of doing it, not just the way I do it. So I talk about the way I do it, but, try to explain some of the pitfalls and some tips for success.
On that point, what is your view on doing annuals in pots, perennials in pots? What have you found has been the easiest to look after?
Well, I mean, I want it all. This is the trouble. I really enjoy growing annuals in pots. I don't use so much bedding now. I mean, bedding is great for instant impact, and it's important in public gardens. So the first two gardens, the Witchford Garden and the Wildlife Park, you need big splodges of colour in a big space, and people really respond to colour. And the easiest way to do that with impact is to use bedding plants in the summer.
Yeah.
But they're not the most sustainable way of gardening, and containers are not the most sustainable way of gardening. So if you try to do it in a mindful way and reduce your impact, I like to use plants that I can reuse. Or if I don't reuse those individuals, I like to be able to propagate them and then use those. rather than
Yeah.
constantly buying new stuff. And it gets so expensive if you're constantly
Yeah,
buying new stuff.
Of course.
You can spend, 50, 60 quid just on planting up one pot.
Oh my gosh.
But then what do you do with tulips? Because you have a lot of tulips.
Yeah,
Early in
well,
the
I
year.
love tulips. They are my weakness. And I
Yeah.
do buy new tulips every year because the bulbs tend to split into
they don't do so
smaller
well.
bulbs, and so they're not flowering size anymore.
No.
Oh, right.
So you get leaves the following year, but not so many
Ah.
flowers.
Right.
So
So what do you do with those old bulbs?
Yeah.
put them
Well,
into the garden?
I usually dig out the pots that have got tulip bulbs in them. I usually empty them completely. And if the bulbs are very split, then I'll just compost them.
Okay.
But if they're still a decent size, then I may plant them out in the garden and see if they do. Or I may store them in the garage over the summer and then plant them in the autumn. But I'm not very good at doing that in a systematic way. Because you're plate spinning, at the end of May, beginning of June, everything is happening. All your tender plants are coming out of shelter, and you've got things growing from seed, and you've got all the watering and the replanting, and the rest of the garden needs attention too. So bulbs that have been taken out, if I'm drying them off, I shove them in the garage and I don't label them.
Yeah.
So it's pot luck the next year.
Yes.
But I do buy new bulbs for the pots because you get much better impact, and it's much more effective because somebody else has already grown them to flowering size for you.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is nice.
How many bulbs are you buying
luxury.
a year on average?
Quite a lot, but I justify it by saying that I don't buy unnecessary shoes.
Yes.
I certainly don't buy handbags, and I certainly don't buy makeup. So
well, there we go.
But I splash out on some bulbs just because I really hate winter and I need something to look forward to.
It's exactly how we've justified it because we don't.
It's how
splash
you've
out
justified it.
on any of those.
Keep me out of this.
Okay, how I've justified it. I'm exactly the same. I don't buy any of those things anymore. I did in my previous life, but now there's no need for all those things. And but tulip bulbs there's definitely a need for, so I will splash out every year. I'll get the tulip catalogue out. It's the most
we go
fun
mad.
shopping for tulip bulbs.
Absolutely.
Although we haven't this year. We're trying something different this year, so we're putting the tulips on hold, but we'll get back to it.
I mean, there was one year where I knew that Chris, my husband, and we were going to be travelling in late April, and so there was no point in planting lots of tulips.
See them.
So I bought earlier bulbs, narcissus and crocus,
some pretty ones as well,
some muscari and things, but I didn't buy tulips.
Yeah.
So you do have to kind of look ahead and think, am I going to be around? My previous boss at Witchford, I used to do his garden as well.
All right.
And I would always plant lots of tulips in it. He wanted lots of tulips, and without fail, they would go away just when the tulips were flowering.
Oh no.
For the dream garden, what would be the garden boundary?
Well, it's a tricky one because sometimes you want boundaries and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
I really like a proper hedge, mostly native hedge that's been laid properly, so it's really thick and it's got lots of things living in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was brought up in Somerset, so the hedges there are planted on banks.
Yeah.
Like a stone wall, but infilled with earth, and then the hedge is on a bank.
Beautiful.
Those are
So
fantastic.
similar to a Cornish wall.
Yeah, similar, slightly different style,
Right.
but yes, very similar. And so that, you can have these narrow lanes that you can't see out of because of these tall hedges.
Yes, we've had that. Driving down those roads with the hedges, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Suck in. Everyone hold their breath.
You get used to
Yeah.
it. So I like those, but I would want to be able to retract them sometimes so that I could see out.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
So like an awning. You can...
So this is where I think we need Dermot Gavin, because I think he would be able to invent a system whereby you could just, retract them into the ground when you wanted to see out, if there was a beautiful sunrise or something.
This
is our first garden trapdoor.
And then you could kind of crank it to bring it up again.
Great.
Crank it up. I've never heard the saying, I'm going to crank up the hedge today.
But why not, Sweepy? That sounds totally
brilliant.
reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so and
Crankable
Dermot
hedges.
Gavin, he's good with these sorts of things, is he?
Well, I do remember seeing him on the telly. He used to be on the telly quite a lot doing
He did
amazing
used to
garden
be,
makeovers,
yeah.
and most of it was pretty bonkers.
Yeah.
Who is
But he
this?
has some genius ideas. He's an Irish garden designer.
Irish garden
heard of him.
designer, yeah.
Mm.
The only
And,
thing I've heard about him was sort of more recently is him falling out with a lot of other garden designers.
Oh dear. Well, I haven't met
very
him,
libelous.
so maybe he's got a fiery temperament like a lot of artistic people. But he used to make Chelsea much more interesting.
Yeah.
Because we used to exhibit at Chelsea from Whitchford.
Who's we? Oh, Whitchford did. Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Right.
So it was fun.
Okay.
You could go and, it was hard work setting up, but then you could have a look at everything else.
But wait, so they were exhibiting their pots? Oh, yeah, because Chelsea's sort of more than just plants. Isn't it? I see.
Yeah. So we were
course.
a trade stand, but
Right,
it was always
yeah.
just as good as a small garden,
Yes.
People love pots.
Yeah, and people can identify with it, But I remember Dermot Gavin's, my favourite one of his was the Heath Robinson garden. And he had things that turned round and things that went up and down.
Wow.
And
right.
it was like a Heath Robinson machine.
Yeah.
And it was great fun. And it only got a silver gilt, which I thought was mean.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is cruel.
Oh, we'll have to look that one up.
Yeah.
So mechanical
gardening with a
stuff
sense
going
of
on in the
humour,
garden.
I think,
Yeah.
is often
Yes.
lacking.
Needs
Well,
it.
Interesting you say that, because we had that similar conversation with Tamsin Westhorpe.
Yes.
Oh, I know Tamsin, yeah.
And she was talking about the books that she's written, which are sort of the Bridget Jones's diary of gardening.
God, which sounds
And
brilliant.
She feels it's important that humour's injected more into gardening.
Yeah.
I think it's very true.
Quite often it's a little bit too earnest, and it's a little bit too, people feel they're being lectured sometimes.
Yes.
I completely agree, and especially for Sweet Pea's generation, she loves gardening, but she doesn't know many people her age who are into gardening. And
No, I don't.
you often say, don't you, Sweet Pea, there needs to be it's just a bit more fun. Let's make it more fun.
Because the reason I
Absolutely.
got into gardening was there was lockdown, boom, we were all inside. We had this garden. We were like, oh, well, let's make a veggie patch. And we'd just bought in some wood to create the kind of raised beds, because we're on a hill, we had to kind of terrace it and stuff.
Yeah.
And creating the beds and then doing the experiments with then the different things that we were going to grow to then eat was so interesting for me at that age, and that kind of sparked it. It wasn't listening to lectures about gardening or learning about it theoretically. It was doing the really fun creativeness of it. So that I think is what makes
And
it
seeing
fun.
the fruits of your labour as well.
Oh my gosh!
At the end of it all.
Exactly like that.
I think once the bug has bitten you, it's useful to learn some of the theory behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, have been doing
But
that.
take it all with a pinch of salt. All the books, all the magazines, all the telly programs, take it with a pinch of salt, because that's the way they do it. But there could be another way. In other countries, they do it different ways.
Yeah.
And everyone's garden's different.
Yep.
It's never the same climate.
So it's most of gardening is observation. It's just watching it and seeing whether it works or not.
Yeah.
Then trying something different if it doesn't work.
Well, so for example, mechanical hedges that raise
Yes.
up out of the ground
Yeah.
as and when you want them. That's a brilliant idea. What do you have where you are? And you're in Oxfordshire still, are you?
No, Gloucestershire.
You're in Gloucestershire, so
Okay.
in the Cotswolds.
Yeah.
So you've got Cotswold stone walls.
Yeah, lots of
lovely
Cotswold
dry
stone.
stone.
Lovely.
Beautiful. Okay, which is quite different from.
I mean,
your
this
Somerset walls.
garden, when we arrived, there was a big pile of Cotswold stone at one end because they demolished an outhouse.
That's the dream.
Oh,
So I
that is
spent
the dream.
So I spent the first winter making a great big raised bed
Yes.
Oh my
with Cotswold stone
gosh.
edges, and that is fantastic from a wildlife point of view, because all the crevices,
All those nooks
there
and
are
crannies.
creatures
Perfect.
living in all of them.
Oh, that is the dream, to have a pile of stones. I'm being serious when I say that. I love a good pile of stones. So much you can do with it.
Yeah, I've still got a few.
That
I've
is
made
fantastic.
I've made a retaining wall further up in the garden,
Yeah.
which is not a very good retaining wall, and a bit of it collapsed the other day. So.
It's retaining.
It's all very
half
amateur.
retaining.
Less retaining, just wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, it's not retaining much.
So in your hedge, do you know what sort of plants you would have in there?
Well, that would have to be mostly native plants, things like field maple and hazel and hawthorn and
Yeah.
blackthorn. Maybe not so much, because it does sucker so much and comes out, although I love
Right.
the look of sloes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with your boundaries, how big are you imagining your dream garden to be?
Well, again, you see, I mean, the more I think about it, it's if money were no object and
it's no object,
which
energy
it
were
isn't.
no object and
No object.
No.
age notwithstanding,
Yes, none of it
it would be
counts.
enormous.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a few
But
acres.
I think I know my limits now.
Yeah. Okay. But you could have some help with the garden. Help that you
Yeah,
don't
but the
see.
trouble is, I want to do it all myself.
Yeah. Okay.
I know, I get that.
And would you have your dream garden in the Cotswolds, or would you have it in Somerset, or would you have it in another country?
Somerset, definitely.
Back to
In
Somerset.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the mothership.
Milder winters, rather a lot of rain in Somerset.
Yeah.
I tease my mother that it always rains in Somerset because it's, we go down to visit her and it's nearly always wet.
Sweet Pea's grandparents are in Cornwall, and it's pretty wet down there.
It is, yes.
A wet end of the country.
Yeah, but it's green. It's lovely and green.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's lush.
And actually, when I go down to Somerset, the smell of the soil, they have this, where I was brought up, is red sandstone.
Right.
So all the fields are red and the sheep
Ah.
go pink.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know
And
that.
it smells
sheep.
great.
Yeah.
And a lot of the walls are made of red sandstone. And I just love the smell of damp red
Oh
sandstone.
my gosh, I'm now going to be Googling pink sheep.
Yeah.
Well then, would you like a shed or a greenhouse?
Well, I'm quite lucky in that I do have both.
Oh, well, that's good. But if you had to choose
But-
one,
No, it would have to be one of those greenhouses with a shed on the end.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't do without either one of them.
Okay. What do you do in the shed end of your shed greenhouse? Sheen house.
yeah, it's a sheen house.
Well, I mean, sit around hopefully. Although, I mean, I have
Okay.
I recently got myself a nice shed come summer house,
Lovely.
which I have at the end of the garden. It's my red shed. I painted it red.
What colour
and
red?
I'm supposed to sit in it. A dark red, a bit like the sort of red that you see on Scandinavian wooden buildings.
Oh, right. What shape is this?
It's shed shaped. It's got pitch roof.
So not like a hexagonal type summer house
No.
type thing. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I can remember my grandmother having one of those ones you can turn round.
Well,
We have
that's
seen these.
interesting. I don't think we've seen them, Sweet Pea, but
No,
do
we
you
haven't seen them,
remember
but we've
Liz
heard of
and
them.
Fee?
Yes.
Fee chose it on hers. Liz and Fee from New Hope Daylilies.
Wasn't it
They
Liz?
did a chit chat with us. Oh, was it Liz? Yes, it was Liz.
I think
sorry.
it was
And
Liz. It was Liz.
She
who wanted
imagined
it.
this in her dream garden. She had a hexagonal summer house that you could turn like a lazy Susan. And we all laughed about that because it just
did.
sounded unimaginable, but
No, it's
how
a
great
thing.
that would be. But it's actually a thing.
Yeah, you can still get
Oh,
them.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to tell her about
this.
Although knowing me, it would get jammed up with something and stop working.
Yeah.
Course.
So a shed you can loaf about in is a good thing.
Yeah.
No,
So you like to spend quite a bit of time in there, have a seat, a
Yeah.
radio.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a ropey old armchair in mine, and it's if it starts
That's
raining, it's quite
nice.
nice to go and sit in there with the door open and just listen to the rain.
Really lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, I'm supposed to be doing some more writing in there, but that hasn't
Oh,
happened
so
yet.
this has got you've got a desk in there as well, then. And
I've got a table and a chair. So
do you have any heating in there?
Yes, I've got a little heater. Although I would rather, in my fantasy garden, I would like a wood burning stove,
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
and then I probably wouldn't come out.
Yeah.
I've got a little tumble down tool shed, which is such an appalling mess that you can only get into about the first few feet of it, and the rest of it
like
is
my
death
greenhouse.
trap.
Oh no.
So really, I need a self-tidying tool shed.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
yes.
So we
I
got
was
myself-
always quite organised and tidy in other people's gardens, but my own,
Yeah.
it's a
That's
a
often the way,
mess.
though, isn't it? So in your sheen house, it's a self-tidying sheen house. You've got one end where you have an armchair in there, maybe a desk,
Yeah.
a wood-burning stove.
Yeah.
Then what's happening in the greenhouse end of the sheen house?
Well, the greenhouse end would need to be kind of T-shaped because I would need to have a cool end and a warm end.
Oh yeah,
Oh, fab.
So I can grow the more exotic things at one end and,
right.
the overwinter the almost hardy things in the cool end.
Oh, great. So it's sort of more like a conservatory, orangery type setup,
Yeah.
or is it very
At one
practical
end,
as
but
well,
the other
with
end I would
staging
need
and-
the practical stuff, yeah.
Okay.
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 Plus. Okay.
Yeah.
Plus
And
Fantastic.
I'm a complete propagation addict, so I just love taking cuttings and sowing seeds
Right.
and so on.
So do you, in your current
Okay.
greenhouse, do you have shelves and shelves of staging with all your little seedlings? And
Yeah, I've got
trays?
staging. I mean, it's not an enormous greenhouse, but I do, take a lot of cuttings, and
Yeah.
got the radio plugged in there. So
Of course.
Listening to our podcast, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes,
Just
Yes.
nod.
she said.
Just
Of
Well, it
course.
sounds a fantastic setup. Is your greenhouse that you currently have, is it a glass greenhouse, or is
Yeah.
it a sort of a polycarbonate type thing? It's glass.
No, it's a glass one. I did have a sort of little plastic polytunnel, but that's disintegrated now.
Right.
And it was pretty ugly.
Okay. They are quite ugly.
They're not the
aren't they?
most aesthetically pleasing, but unbelievably
No.
practical, aren't they?
They are.
You
Yeah.
can have it hidden away somewhere.
I'd really like one of those ones that's made with very tough bubble wrap.
Oh, yeah.
The Keda greenhouses that are it's like tough bubble wrap, and
That's
and
a
that
greenhouse
kind of,
rather than a polytunnel.
well, it's kind of a cross between the two.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
think they're very good because they're insulated and they're strong, and
Imagine, yeah.
the light is kind of diffused. So I
Right.
think they're quite fun to use.
Now on to the plant side. What would be 5 ornamentals that you'd absolutely have in your dream garden?
Oh, well, this is an impossible question.
Yes. We love
it
those.
I have to look at my notes because, it's, yeah. I mean, the
You've
thing
got
is,
like
I want
20
it all.
down.
I want it all.
Yeah.
I understand that.
But your favourites.
Looking at the things I really enjoy at the moment, because I'm not
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
fickle. I'll like a different thing next year.
I like
Of
fickle.
course.
I really love dahlias at the moment, and I've been growing those since I was at Whitchford. So I've been growing them in pots for about the last 25 years.
Right.
Yes. Which ones?
Mexican Star is a great one. Have you had that one?
No.
Gets tall with it's got single flowers with dark red petals, almost sort of browny black, actually.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love those.
And it's sort of yellow boss of stamens in the middle, and it's just produces lots of small flowers, but gets quite tall.
Beautiful.
That's
That's
a good
nice.
one. I like the honker ones too. Have you seen those?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Ones, of
children's
course.
windmills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
They're quite funny.
And then, I like the big fluffy ones too. I like that. The one I grew this year and last year is Labyrinth, which has really nice kind of mixture of sort of peachy, orangey and pinky tones, which sounds awful, but it's just very nice, and slightly twisted petals.
Do you always stick to a particular colour theme year in, year out, or do you like to shake things up a little every year and have different colour themes?
Well, I mean, you're using the same plants over and over again to a certain extent, so
Yeah.
I can't have a complete change, but sometimes I've got more of something than of the other things, and
but you're
I
not
arrange them
particular.
differently each year.
Right. So you
Okay.
don't have, some people restrict themselves to say yellows and purples and whites.
Yeah,
in the
within a
garden,
certain
or-
area, I'll try to restrict the number of colours just because I prefer it that way.
Yeah.
I can be a little bit obsessive about, colour matching and so on, so I have to remind myself to get a bit more careless about it.
Right.
Because you get more interesting results.
Yeah.
If you throw in something you don't think will go, then sometimes it's really irritating and you need to pull it out. Or sometimes
It's a happy
it's
accident.
surprisingly fantastic.
Yeah.
Now that's the kind of thing that Christopher Lloyd was good at, was just throwing in some screaming pink with the orange, and actually it was fantastic,
Works rather
Yeah.
well. Do your grandchildren get involved with your pots, or is it strictly, no, this is my domain, everybody out?
The pots, well, I've got a 2-year-old is the oldest. So we've done some acorn planting in little pots.
Aw.
I've just got my fingers crossed that the things will grow, and that the squirrels won't eat them.
But you
Yes.
can always fudge that by finding a little seedling if they don't grow. and
Yeah,
replacing it.
quite.
Out in
I
the
mean, I do
woods.
have some little oak trees, but I'm hoping I won't need to cheat.
I used to live next door when I was growing up. My grandparents lived next door, my dad's parents, and I always had a sunflower growing competition with my granddad, and we were on the south side of the wall. But from my bedroom, I could see both sides of either side of the wall, so I could always see how his sunflower was doing compared to mine. And one evening, I went to bed with my sunflower well and truly ahead of his, and by the morning, he had this enormous sunflower. And I was gutted, and I went downstairs in my pajamas. What's going on here? Went round to his garden, had a little back gate. We could go to each other's gardens, and I had a close inspection of his sunflower, and he had fashioned in his workshop a sunflower out of wood. The leaves were green polythene bags that he had cut. A wooden sunflower head that he had meticulously painted with shading and contrast.
Oh my gosh, you did the
And he
shading and
had
contrast.
screwed it into the wall to make this
That's
thing
brilliant.
tower over mine. It's a happy memory.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is you can cheat.
You can
yeah.
cheat.
Yeah, but I we spend quite a lot when she comes to us. She comes to us once a week, so
Oh, lovely.
in the summer we spend lots of time in the garden, and
Oh.
I like to be the granny who sends the child back all dirty,
Perfect.
Yes.
That's how it should be. Yeah.
barefoot,
Yeah.
playing with sand and water and just getting filthy.
In amongst it. So you got dahlias as your first ornamental.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then of course, I mean, it's so difficult. I mean, delphiniums. I do love delphiniums. I like blue flowers generally,
Oh, yeah.
but
Proper
they're
blue.
hard to grow in a sustainable way. But if you could grow them in a sustainable way, I would like all the delphiniums on the Blackmore and Langdon stand at Chelsea. All of those.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely. Yes.
I mean, the only
Okay, very
delphinium
nice.
I have in reality is one that was given to me by a gardening friend many years ago, and it's called Alice Artindale, and it's a double. So you can't grow it from seed. It doesn't make seed. You have to grow it from cuttings. And it's really pretty. It's got this sort of very, very double flowers with different blues and almost turquoise in.
Ooh.
And I've managed to keep that alive for quite a long time. But every year it makes me anxious because I think the slugs are
Oh, I
going
can
to eat the last
imagine.
bit.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So in your dream garden, is it going to be in pots, or are you able to see the
no.
garden from your house and it'll be in
It's much
beds
easier to
and-
look after plants in the ground.
Yeah,
I think,
for sure.
Yeah.
Once my back finally gives way, I will definitely be just gardening in the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could afford to remodel our backyard, I'd have some raised beds or some flower beds or something rather than all the pots.
So in your dream garden, you imagine raised beds?
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, dream garden, mixed borders, really.
Yeah.
Not so much raised beds because they are harder
Okay,
work.
sounds good.
The pots are a stupid amount of work. So
They sound a lot of work.
I mean, it's okay having a few, but having hundreds is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I only do it because of the situation and because I spend a lot of time giving talks and yattering on about it. So I need to be still experimenting with it,
So who are you giving your talks through? How do people get
garden
to
clubs,
Harriet talk?
Garden clubs get hold of me.
Okay.
Well, my name is listed on the Garden Media Guild page.
Oh, right.
So people sometimes find me through there, but it's mostly word of mouth.
Okay.
I give anything between 20 and 40 talks a year, something like that.
Wow.
Busy. Well, what are the 3 other ornamentals?
Oh, yes, we keep getting off topic, don't we? Tulips, obviously, I do have to have tulips because long, bleak winter, I need that boom of colour.
What's your go-to tulip?
Yeah.
Oh, I like them all.
Yes.
I mean, this year I'm going to go for some pink ones and some slightly odd ones. There's one that I really like called Light and Dreamy, which has very dark stems, and then it has this slightly weird purpley colour, but then it turns into a sort of pink. A lot of them do this kind of colour change trick.
Yeah.
They start as a. This one, its bud is almost blue, and then it becomes pink.
That sounds amazing.
So I like all of them except La Belle Époque.
What's that
like? Those ones that look like horrible ice creams as well. I don't like those.
They're mad, aren't they?
Yes, okay, I get that.
I think we got those one year, didn't we, Sweet? Because you liked the idea of the ice cream ones.
No, we didn't in the end.
Did
I
not allow it? Okay, good.
They were so
no, I don't
expensive.
like them. They're just lumpy. And
garish.
But La Belle Époque, I hate it. Everybody loves it, and I hate it.
Okay. Not that then. And the other 2 ornamentals?
Fritillaria meleagris, the snake's head fritillary.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I need to have a meadow with that. I've got a tiny little meadow patch in the garden.
Oh, lovely.
Well, it's probably about 15 foot across, something like that. And I've been
Are they doing well there?
fritillaries in it, and surprisingly, because my garden's very, very dry, they do okay in it.
Are they spreading?
A tiny bit. So I'm hopeful that they're at least surviving.
You're doing well with the dry because I tried a little meadow area with those, and they were lovely the first year, and then that was it, really.
Yeah.
Never again.
I don't know. I was quite surprised that they
Yeah.
survived from year to year. So we'll see.
They are so beautiful.
Gorgeous. And then the final one.
Final one, daisies. Daisies in the lawn. I need to have daisies in the lawn.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, that's a nice
Very
one.
romantic.
I like that.
Because, I remember them as a child being in the lawn. And, when you're a child, you can pick as many daisies as you like. It's fine. You can make daisy chains.
Yeah.
I actually find it quite difficult to get them to survive in my lawn.
Really?
I wish they'd spread a bit more. I've got a couple of tiny patches.
Where do you stand on dandelions in the lawn?
I'm not keen on them in the shorter bits of the lawn because they kind of make it look ugly. I've got lots. I mean, there's not actually an awful lot of grass in my lawn. There's lots of other stuff as well.
Yeah, we have the same.
I like that though.
Yeah, I'm certainly not going to, put weed killer on it or anything.
No.
And as long as it's green, I don't mind. But
Yeah.
I am more. I mean, I think the rooting out dandelions is a deeply ingrained thing for my generation of gardeners.
Yeah.
But they're so valuable for wildlife. I do actually tolerate them more and more and more.
I love them. Our lawn can in the spring just be a sea of yellow. It's we call it our sunshine garden because all the dandelions come up. I really, really genuinely love them. And I kind of grew up with that whole, my dad was always picking out the dandelions from the lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
so I was always
it's
like,
pointless work, really.
dandelions. Yeah, but now I've seen what they can look like if you let them flourish. Absolutely
really
love them. Yeah.
I do dig thistles out though because I like to be able to be barefoot. on the lawn.
Of course,
hurting myself.
Well then, what would be 5 edible plants?
Well, you see, that's where I fall down. I'm not so good on edibles.
Oh.
I can't get excited about growing about vegetable gardening generally. My garden's very shady, so it's actually quite hard to grow edibles.
We hear this quite a lot. We've had a few guests who say, no, I don't grow edibles. But I suppose the way of looking at it then is what do you enjoy eating and therefore...
Yes.
I mean, I don't do much conventional vegetable gardening. I will quite often grow runner beans or French beans because it's really hard to get those in the shops, without them being all stringy and horrible. Yeah.
Yes.
So and they're lovely when they're fresh. Yeah, beans, definitely.
Okay.
The other thing is I do grow tomatoes, usually in big tubs. And
outdoors?
Yeah. I mean, this year it was amazing for tomatoes.
It was.
But my favourite variety is Sun Gold, those little orange ones. So
Sweet
just like
love
sweeties.
Yes, they are, aren't they? So you don't have to do those in the greenhouse. They're fine in a sort of cluster.
No,
of
I do them outside. Yeah. In the greenhouse, it's a lot of work. You've got to remember to water them, and then they're quite likely to get whitefly.
Right.
Outside, you don't get such a big crop, maybe, and if it's a wet season, you're quite likely to get blight. But it's much easier to grow them outside.
Maintenance.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And then...
on apples. I always have to have apples in the garden.
Perfect.
Apples.
So I'm a Somerset girl. I need to have at least one apple tree.
Apple trees, any particular type?
I spent a lot of my childhood up apple trees, actually.
Yeah,
of course.
That's a nice childhood memory.
Yeah, I had a rope ladder and a treehouse in a massive Bramley.
Who built you the treehouse?
Oh, I did. It was probably incredibly dangerous.
Planks falling around the place.
Yeah.
Rusty nails sticking out.
It wasn't a super duper treehouse. It was pretty much, a platform with some cloth draped over it,
Did you build your rope ladder as well?
No, I was given that. I spent a lot of time hanging upside down from that.
Yes. Cool. I remember a childhood of hanging upside down a lot. The backs of your knees hooked over a branch.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I remember my granddad made me kind of trapeze bars just so I could kind of swing around on those.
Oh, great.
Which was fabulous.
Ready for your life in the circus.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Apparently.
What more could a mother want?
Yeah.
And do you any type of apple that you're thinking of? Or just
Bramleys, definitely.
Apple?
I need some
Bramleys.
good cooking apples. I mean, the biggest apple tree we have at the moment, I think, is a Discovery. I'm not absolutely sure.
When you say the biggest you have, as in your garden,
Yeah, we've got
Oh.
a substantial apple tree, and I planted a Bramley on semi-dwarfing rootstock a couple of years ago, so it's it's only had a handful of apples so far.
Yeah,
but the Discovery is quite nice, although they don't keep. So
no,
you have to either eat them or process them. So I stew a lot.
You stew them. Do you juice them?
No, I haven't got the equipment for that. The other variety I'd like to have is Blenheim Orange, because I think, again, back to childhood garden, we had a massive, I'm pretty sure it was a Blenheim Orange tree. So it was an eater and a cooker.
Yeah.
It's a vigorous tree. So it was really big, and it would kind of tap at the windows of the house kind of thing.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, that's very nice. And then if you had to pick 2 last edibles,
Yeah, strawberries.
anything...
Strawberries. Yeah.
Do you grow those currently?
Only a few, just
in your pots.
Yeah, I've got a sort of hanging basket thing which I never hang up, but it's got some of those pink flowered ones which are quite pretty. Not very productive, but pretty. I don't look after it properly anyway. And the other thing, actually, I mean, I do grow a few sort of herby things.
Okay.
I always like to have lemon verbena, Aloysia trifila. It's slightly tender. It's a very untidy looking shrub.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Smells like sherbet lemon.
And are you making tea with your lemon verbena?
Yeah, I use it for making tea. But also, I mean, we've got a kind of what looks like a metal doormat outside the back door, and I usually have a pot of it beside the back door.
Oh, nice.
And every now and then I snip a bit off if it's getting in the way, and I put it under the metal doormat so that when you step on it, you get a little waft of lemon.
Oh, what a great idea. I love
nice.
that.
Yeah, I really, really like that. What would be your one statement tree?
It would have to be a copper beech, definitely.
Yeah, just
very
magnificent,
nice.
aren't they? Actually, I'm not sure we've had a copper beech yet as a statement tree.
I don't know.
And I forget that that's one of my favourite trees.
It's one of
I
my
mean, it's
favourites.
beautiful at every time of year. With no leaves on. I mean, you've got that fantastic trunk that looks like it's got muscles.
Yeah,
it does.
Looks like an animal of some sort.
Yeah.
And then, when the leaves start to emerge, there's that fantastic colour, and there's a little fringe on each one.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful when the sun shines through it.
And they're shiny as well.
Really beautiful and unique.
Good for wildlife.
Yeah.
Makes a nice shape, makes a nice dappled shade. And then it's just
perfect
incredible in the autumn.
And they can grow huge, can't they?
Yeah, I've got several copper beech.
Have you? So your garden is pretty big then?
No,
the bit that you can't see.
they're small ones in pots.
Oh, okay. Oh, in pots.
And the thing is,
wow.
the beech you can cut it back, and if you can even clip it into a hedge, obviously, and if you cut it back, it kind of stays in its juvenile form. It doesn't drop the leaves, so it has those nice coppery leaves in sort of crispy form for most of the winter.
Gosh, that's nice.
And then those only fall off when the new leaves start to emerge.
Right.
Unless it's been very, very windy.
How big a pot have you got those in? Like a dustbin size?
Not yet, no. I mean, the biggest one is probably in a pot that's about 18 inches wide, and it's quite a tall pot, so it's probably about 2 feet tall. But I've got tiny ones as well. I've got, all sizes. I'm a great keeper of seedlings.
Yeah.
So I've got lots of trees in pots. Pine trees, liquid amber, all sorts.
Liquid amber
silver
as well.
birch work well in pots.
How fantastic.
Eucalyptus. Yeah.
Eucalyptus.
Crikey. You've got a whole woodland in pots.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool.
That's amazing.
It's very, very cool until we have an extremely windy night,
Right.
and then I go out and find the odd one toppled
Prop
over.
them up.
I've got better at placing them and supporting them
Of course, yeah.
over the years.
Would you like a pond or a pool in your dream garden, and what plant would you have in that area?
Well, you see, I would like a little stream garden. I would like a little wiggly stream.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
Because I would like boggy bits at the sides where I could grow irises.
Yeah.
beautiful.
All my adult life I've lived in areas where, it's alkaline soil, and I would really like to be able to grow things like Iris sibirica, all those beautiful blue irises.
Are they more acidic soil, are they?
They're not keen on alkaline soil, I don't think.
Okay.
And the other thing is
that's
I'd like to grow those candelabra primulas, with all the sweetie colours.
Oh,
Yes,
my gosh,
I'd love to be able to grow
course.
those. And they all like it damp, don't they?
Yeah, so, I'd like a little winding stream, not too deep, not too fast running, with some boggy bits either side to grow those in.
With
sounds
the
lovely.
swathes. You can get real swathes of them, can't you?
Can
Yeah,
they hybridise?
and then they hybridise like anything. Yes, you get a kind of swarm of interesting
get a
colours
gradient
and-
colour.
Yeah.
kind of happens between them as they kind of go from darker to lighter to then oranges and yellows, and
That's
very
right.
I
cool.
would
And then
so love to
some
have
bright
that.
pinks as well. You know, it's
Yeah.
just really
Yeah.
quite jazzy.
Like you say,
It's
sort of
very
candy
cool.
colours. So you're choosing
Yes.
that over the Iris Iberica?
If you had to choose one between the two, you can have a special mention.
I'd probably go for the Primulas.
Okay.
Because I've
Special
never been
mention to
able to grow
irises.
those.
No,
I would like to.
I'd go with the Primulas.
Yeah, so I would like a little stream. But, you know, I'd also like
Sounds
a swimming
lovely.
pond.
Okay, so
Well,
the
we can add
stream
that
running
in.
into your swimming pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I once got asked to do a talk in Portugal
All right.
for the Mediterranean Gardening Society of the Algarve. It was mostly expats, and I'd stayed with one lot who had a fantastic garden. It was lovely. But I also visited another couple who they had the most amazing swimming pond, and it was just beautiful. And she said, when you're swimming in it and you just got just your nose above the water, the birds forget you're there and they come down to drink. So you're at eye level with creatures coming down to drink at the water, sort of hoopoes and woodpeckers and all sorts of things.
Magical.
So I'd lurk in it like a crocodile.
What sort of size was their swimming pond?
Oh, it was quite big. It was probably about 15 metres long and about 10 metres wide. It was quite big.
Sounds very
beautiful.
good. Okay, so you're wanting the one like the one in Portugal, then?
Yeah, I'd like the warm summer as well, please.
The warm
okay, so we'll just add that in.
So you've got Portugal weather. Have you travelled a lot then with your talks?
Not abroad so much. I mean, when I was at Whitchford, I went to Japan twice, and I went to Sweden, and I went to Germany. So that was fun.
Amazing.
That's pretty good.
Places. We used to sell a lot of pots to Japan, so we had very good Japanese customers. And a couple of times they did a kind of flower show in a massive department store in Osaka. So we went and we did a big display and we did talks and master classes and things.
How
so that
incredible.
Was fun.
Did you travel around Japan much? See many
just a little bit. We went to Kyoto and we went to Nara. But I loved Japan. I'd really like to go back again because
I want to go to Japan.
So interesting. And the people are so kind and friendly.
Last question. What would be your favourite seating area, drink to have there whilst chilling, and a plant to have by your side?
Also quite difficult because I want it all. Seating area, I would like a swing seat.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
I've never had a swing seat. I can remember other people having swing seats and they are lovely, soothing.
Do you mean sorry, I was thinking swing. So you mean one of those hanging seats?
Like a
sofa.
Wait,
sorry, a swing seat. Yes,
a sofa
of course.
that just rocks gently, one of those.
Yes.
Maybe with its back against a lovely wall that I could have a nice wisteria over.
Nice.
I don't have a wisteria. I would really love to have a wisteria.
Could you grow a wisteria from a pot?
Probably could, but it would always look a bit on the stunted side. I'd like to have a great big wisteria with
just going
purple, white,
purple. Although I mean, some of the white ones are beautiful, but I like the purpley ones. Yeah.
Okay. Is your swing seat a wooden swing seat, or
probably
1970s rusty metal framed one?
The one kind you get your fingers trapped in.
Yep.
No, I think a nice wooden one. Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool.
Great.
And what drink will you be chillaxing with?
The champagne obviously is the best one. That would be in my fantasy garden. Is champagne.
Yeah. Okay.
Reality is maybe a nice cold beer.
Any particular type? Just a cold one.
Just any old. Or I really should say cider. Because being from Somerset,
you probably should say cider.
You should just say cider.
A nice dry cider, preferably scrumpy, a bit cloudy.
So this is your dream garden. So would it be the champagne, or are you now thinking cider for your dream garden?
No, I'm thinking champagne because the
champagne.
You can drink that without feeling too
without falling over,
unhealthy afterwards.
Got it.
Well, that sounds very, very good. Well, I am going to read back to you your dream garden, just in case I've missed anything or you want to change anything. Who knows? So we're going for the garden. First of all, it's going to be in Somerset. We're going with a fairly big garden because who cares about money or aging or any problems. It's the dream garden, okay? Then we're going to have a proper native thick hedge planted on kind of beautiful Somerset stone walls, but you want it to be retractable and then be able to crank it up again. So we're having mechanical engineering happening in there.
Yeah.
Then
I mean, you'd have to sort of manage to train the birds not to get trapped in it. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, health and safety.
But you could do that.
Might be an issue.
We'll figure something out. Then you wanted a sheen house. So with a shed at one end, you wanted to be able to just sit around in that with a lovely armchair, wood burning stove. You wanted also a kind of tool area, but for it to be self-tidying. And then the greenhouse part, you wanted staging for a practical area, and then a T-shape so that you could have a cold bit and a warm bit, depending on your planting.
Yeah, it's an entire complex.
I mean, this is going to be huge. Then your 5 ornamentals, we had dahlias such as Mexican star, honker, and labyrinth. Delphiniums, Alice Artingale. Then tulips, we had light and dreamy. Snake's head fritillary and daisies in the lawn, as many as possible, because we love those. Then your 5 edibles, runner beans, French beans, tomatoes such as sun gold, apples, the Bramleys, the Discovery, Blenheim orange, strawberries and herbs like lemon verbena. Then your 1 tree was a beautiful copper beech. Then you wanted a little stream garden with bog areas with candelabra primulas in there, special mention to Iris siberica as well. And you wanted a swimming pond like the one in Portugal, as well as Portugal summer weather as well. So we're going to just add that in some
it'd be useful to be able to just switch that on, when I needed
we'll put the dial. We'll put the dial next to you. Absolutely. And then finally, lovely swing seat, sofa 1 against a wall with beautiful wisteria, purple, and a lovely glass of champagne.
Sounds perfect. So you're going to
nice.
organise this for me, are you?
Yeah, so leave that with us. First off is Dermot Gavin.
Yes.
And then we'll figure the weather thing out at some point.
Yeah, it'll happen. Who knows?
Well, thank you so much, Harriet.
You're welcome. That was fun.
Thank you very much.
So it's been a good old chit-chat with Harriet.